Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over break, the keyword break in Java. Now break specifically has to do, or most of the times have to do with loops in general, anything that loops. So I'm just going to delete the previous stuff from our previous episodes, such as the our object, and we're just going to be left with the main code that we have had in the beginning. So let's just make some spaces. Also, you might be wondering, hey, how come OBS is open but we never see OBS? Well, that's a little trick of mine. It's just called an extra monitor. It's not really a trick, but actually, I don't have an extra monitor. What I do, well, I'm gonna get one because it's just useful for coding, but I have Duet Display so that I can use like my iPad, which I never use, for an extra display. It's very helpful. So, into the video. Now, if you remember, we have loops, for loops, etc. So we can say, so let's just create a simple for loop, not an enhanced for loop. Let's just create a regular for loop, and we can say for int I, and we'll set that equal to 0 initially. And I didn't mention this in the other video about for loops, but you can really set this to whatever. But in the end, almost always you're going to be setting it to 0. That's just this value is just the initial value that this variable is going to be starting with, because if you remember, we increment it. So for int I, and we'll say I is smaller than 10, or I don't know. Yeah, let's just do smaller than 10, and um, I plus plus, so that's incrementing. And actually, I should have made a video about incrementing and I don't know what you call it, decrementing. But I'll just show you very quickly what that is now. When you increment, when you add 1 to a number, you normally do this, right? Plus, or when you add any value to a number, you do plus equals to 2, right? So this would be adding 2 to I, and this is a different way of doing this. I equals to I plus 2. Instead of doing I plus 2, you can just do plus equals to 2. That way you're just adding 2 to I, and you're setting I equal to that product, or that result. So, then there's incrementing. So what if you're just adding 1? Well, instead of doing this, we could shorten it and do this, or we could shorten that even further and just do plus plus. That just means you're adding 1 to it. So yeah, should explain that in another video, but I'll get into that some other time. Right here in this for loop, this is where we can put a break statement. Now, you'll get some warnings, just ignore those, but we can put breaks in here. If you put them anywhere else, you can see it gives you an error. It says break outside switch or loop. So it doesn't really know what a break is. And the reason why it says switch or loop is because you'll only see break in the break keyword in 2 places. A for loop or a switch statement. Switch statement we'll be covering in the next video actually, but in this for loop, break, in this for loop, any code in here is being run 10 times. Why? Because I is equal to 0 initially, and as long as I is less than 10, then it's gonna run whatever's in here. So it's gonna run 10 times. But what if you want to stop during certain occasions? Well, that's where break comes in. Break literally just means you're stopping the loop. That's all it means. Stop the loop, move on to the code below the for loop. So just stop the loop. So let me just show you an instance of how this would work. So let's just have an array called array of integers, and we'll call this numbers, and then we'll set that equal to a new integer array list with a new integer array list with let's just say 5 index, or you know what, let's say 10 indexes. Just give it a nice even number. We can just delete that space above, and let's go down here, and we can say, and we can go to our enhanced for loops and do, you know, for each. And I actually don't like the spacing, so let's just do for int n in numbers. Sorry, in is in C#, my bad. In numbers, and we'll say we'll print out n, right? So when we run this, it'll just print out a bunch of zeros. So let's just add some values. So we can say that index 0 is equal to 4, 5, and say here, let's just copy this and paste that there 10 times. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to do 5. And don't worry, I'll show you a more efficient way to actually do this. We can just do 2 in a different video. 3, I don't know, 8, 1, 2, no, we already did 2. We can do 10, right? We haven't done 7, about 6. Did we do 4? We haven't done 4. And we haven't done 0. So, we have a bunch of values, right? 0, 4, 6, 7, 10, 1. They're all set to different indexes, which I forgot to do. I'm an idiot. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you might, oh, by the way, if you're wondering how I got that thing to highlight, just press the insert button on your keyboard. If you have over a 60% keyboard, you'll see an insert button right above your switch key, your arrow keys. If that is if you have like you know, like a keyboard that's a separate keyboard that's that has that type of stuff. But yeah, anyways, back into the video. So we have print out n. So this is for each number. So when we run this, it'll say 5, 2, 3, 8, and 1, 10, etc. You'll see. You can see it printed it all out. 5, 2, 3, 8, 1, 10, 7. But let's say we want the array. Let's say we want it to stop printing if it reaches 7, because you know 7's an evil number. I don't know. I just picked that number. But let's say we want 7 to let's say when we're looping through, each time we're looping through the array list, or each iteration, we want to check if the value we're printing is 7, and if that value is 7, then of course we want to stop the loop, right? We want to stop it in its tracks. Stop it from looping. So how are we going to do this? Well, first I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this out for yourself. And I'll give you a few clues if you need it. But before I give you the clues, if you want to try this out on your own, just pause the video. Okay, for those of you who haven't paused the video, here are the clues. First, you're going to need an if statement. N is going to be the value that you're trying to compare. N is the value that you want to check whether it is set to 7. And break keyword stops / breaks the loop. And of course, the goal, break / stop the loop if the number we are iterating through is equal to 7. So these are the 4 clues. Alright. If you didn't get it, that's fine, but let's move on. So how are we going to do this? Well, it's really easy. Just say if n is equal to 7, then we're just going to print out, or not print out, then we're just going to break. And now for a simple statement like this, we don't even need the brackets. We can just say break, just like that. Whoops. To make it easier to read, let's just do that. So if n equals to 7, then we're just going to break. We're just going to break the loop, and we're going to stop it. And you can see over here, the order goes 5, 2, 3, 8, 1, 10, 7. And since we're breaking on 7, we won't see the 7 nor anything below it because we're stopping the loop. So the last number should be 10 if we did this correctly. And you can see it is. The last value is 10. Just zoom in on that. You can see it goes 5, 2, 3, 8, 1, 10. Because the next value was 7, but because we stopped the loop if the value was 7, then we're not going to print out the rest. So that's the break keyword in a nutshell, and in loops. That I can't speak today, I'm sorry. That is the break keyword in loops. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Make sure to fool around with this code. Of course, try it out with different variables maybe. Maybe fool around with some for loops, or check to see like where else you can put breaks, because remember, there are different types of loops, like we've covered the while loop. Remember this? We can put break here. It's perfectly valid because it's another loop. So try out some break keywords within other loops. So hope you have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tomorrow we're going to do switch statements. Have a good day. Goodbye.